Hi, my friends. Welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, your host, and also an indie author. I'm thrilled you're joining me today for another fun interview with a passionate author. We're going to kick off this show with an exciting reading, so let's get started.
Good morning. My name is Melanie Wells. I am an assistant principal in Mississippi, and we have been experiencing COVID-19 just like everyone else. We stopped going to school in person in March of 2020. Over the summer, as I was interviewing teachers, I realized their main concern was how do you teach during COVID? What is hybrid learning? What does it look like in our classrooms? And so I decided to write a book, Hybrid Learning Environments, What, Why, and How. Today I'm going to read my introduction and chapter 1. Introduction. Think back to the start of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. What were you doing? How did you feel? Personally, I was excited because I was getting extra time to rest and relax, or so I thought. Reality hit, and I realized this extra time would not be relaxing at all. In fact, it was hectic and a bit frightening. In the blink of an eye, our lives changed drastically. Education was shifting quickly without any strategic plans or direction. I was not worried about our students' learning gaps. After all, we are educators and we can remediate them. I was worried about our students' mental and emotional health. Our students have spent months away from their teachers, classmates, and friends. Their routines are being affected, and some of our students have lost their safety net. Like many others, I wondered how we could continue being the anchor in their lives. I've been in education for 15 years. I have watched new initiatives, standardized testing formats, and multiple teaching programs filter in and out of our classrooms. Now, more than ever, we need techniques that work. Educators need to be able to help our students navigate this new educational pathway successfully. Sometimes change comes naturally, sometimes we are forced to change. In the spring of 2020, COVID-19 forced educators to teach in unknown settings. Nervous and unsure, we dove in head first. Not because we wanted to, but because we had no fear, because we knew our students needed us. We spent hours thinking outside the box in order to continue meeting the needs of our students. It was a challenge for teachers, students, and parents. However, by joining forces, we successfully finished the school year. Likewise, this upcoming school year will be new territory for everyone. This book will help educators learn how to merge effective in-person or face-to-face learning environments with effective online learning environments to create an effective hybrid learning experience. This newly created environment will increase student motivation, engagement, and academic achievement by encouraging students to learn in a safe and secure learning environment. According to author and researcher Eric Jensen, some children do not perform well at school because they live in a constant state of fight or flight survival mode. Hybrid learning environments allow students to relax and focus on learning instead of problematic situations that may be going on in their lives. One year when I was teaching math, I had a student in my inclusion class who started off the year skipping my class. After 3 days of marking him absent, I asked my counselors for help. We soon realized he was going to every class except mine. The next day we made sure he came to my class. I introduced myself and showed him his seat. He sat on the very edge of his seat, as if he was ready to get up and run away. He was officially in my 7th grade math class. After watching his behavior patterns over the next few days, I realized the problem. He was scared to come to math class because he felt like he did not belong. He did not think math was for him. He struggled in previous years, so what would make this year any different? He had simply decided he was not going to give it a try. Daily, I devoted time to make sure he was in his optimal learning environment. I intentionally placed him with group members who would encourage him to learn. I called on him more during class discussions so he could share his thoughts and opinions. By the end of the year, he was smiling because he knew his value. His test scores increased because he was open to learning. On paper, he belonged in a special education classroom. However, what he really needed was to belong in a special classroom. By being in a special environment, he was able to use his strengths to find his worth while defeating his weaknesses. Student engagement draws students' attention away from problems and insecurities. One of the best things we can do as educators is create a safe and secure learning environment to ease our students' minds. Learning occurs when students do not have to worry about social and emotional stress factors they may experience at home. Simon Sinek is an author and well-known public speaker among business and educational leaders around the world. His book, Start With Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action, centers on the importance of having a growth mindset and knowing one's purpose. Students perform better when they feel valued by others and have a sense of purpose. My book on hybrid learning environments will explain 3 educational theories: Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Piaget's theory of cognitive development, and Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive skills. Most, if not all, of these theories were studied in undergrad educational college courses. These models are traditionally seen in vertical form. However, these models should be viewed as a circular pattern, constantly cycling from one level to the next. We will explore these circular patterns and discuss how they can be used to encourage a growth mindset, increase active engagement, and flourish intrinsic motivation. This book will guide educators as they learn the what, why, and how of hybrid learning environments. It will also provide examples of activities and sample lesson plans to use when creating hybrid learning lessons. My goal for writing this book is to help teachers accomplish their goal of engaging and motivating students in any environment. Chapter 1: Hybrid Learning Environment: Passion over Fear. Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. What is hybrid learning? Hybrid learning is not a new concept. It is used at most institutions of higher learning. Teachers often use hybrid learning, also known as blended learning, as a teaching method because it incorporates multiple teaching styles. These 2 versions of hybrid learning are not the same as hybrid learning environments. Hybrid learning environments refer to the merging of in-person and online learning. In fact, a database search of hybrid learning populates results relating to the hybrid and blended learning teaching methods mentioned above. In a hybrid learning environment, online assignments are not seen as add-ons. Instead, an online assignment is a different version of a structured lesson that is created for digital teaching and learning. It contains the same content as an in-person lesson. When a full and complete online lesson merges with a full and complete in-person lesson, they create a hybrid learning lesson that can be taught in any environment. Hence the phrase hybrid. In this book, hybrid learning will refer to a lesson that can be taught both in person and online. Why is it important to shift to hybrid learning environments? Have you ever had an item you cared about but rarely used because it was so important to you? For me, it was the 3D TV. I did not use my 3D glasses regularly because I wanted to use them only for special occasions. Well, as it turned out, companies realized the 3D glasses were too expensive to replace. As a result, 3D TVs were phased out because they were not worth the hassle of repairing and replacing. At the time, I did not know 3D TVs were going to be obsolete and the next generation would replace it. Although I felt like I wasted my money, the replacement TV had more efficient attributes and features than my 3D TV. This same concept applies in education. The learning platform may change, but the purpose should always remain the same. We have to shift in order to keep up with advances in education and technology. The first step to shifting is understanding why it is important to transition to hybrid learning environments. Take a quick moment to consider business owners and their employees. A business owner should not have to constantly tell someone what to do. Most employers are seeking employees who complement their talents and bring new ideas to the table. If an employee cannot contribute positive and innovative ideas, that employee may no longer be needed. Another reason educational change is significant is some businesses wonder why they cannot retain their best employees. Employers are often tempted to change their routines. For example, some employers are considering flexible seating and brain breaks for employees. Brain breaks are a relatively new concept being considered to maintain interest and motivation. According to researcher Mark Edmonds, millennials crave engagement in their careers. Employers probably do not experience a lack of motivation in their veteran employees because these workers understand the importance of stability and security. According to Edmonds, most young adults feel safe to take risks as they select environments conducive to their talents. Many of them realize the importance of working in an enjoyable environment where they can unveil their passion and skills. Understandably, our students crave this same environment while at school and at home. Educators can use hybrid learning environments to allow students to embrace and unveil their intellectual gifts. How can we use hybrid learning to motivate students? One way to develop intrinsic motivation is by sparking curiosity. Our brains naturally love a challenge. A few years ago, I bought my nephew small Lego packets. My 8-year-old nephew struggled to connect the Legos. He understood what was supposed to happen and even knew the steps. However, he could not piece the puzzle together. Frustrated, he hit the Legos, causing them to scatter. I helped him search for them, and I started to help him complete the puzzle when he said, "I can do it myself." I had an aha moment because I felt like I needed to jump in and assist him, but he did not need me to do the work for him. He needed me to encourage and guide him. When teaching, we may feel the need to tell students what to do. However, when we allow students to engage in productive struggles, we empower them to gain intrinsic motivation and discover their own understanding. A teacher's mission should be to help students become intrinsically motivated to find and enhance their strengths. This motivation comes when students have a sense of purpose and worth. Some students do not know the purpose of education because they don't know their purpose in education. Students tend to admire visibly talented role models, such as musicians, athletes, and entertainers. We must help our students embrace their hidden and visible talent. When students do not know their worth, they may struggle to see their role in the classroom. Students should be able to share their strengths with their peers as students put forth the dedication needed to complete tasks. They will feel a sense of intrinsic motivation and self-worth. Our focal points in the following chapters will be teaching styles, educational theories, optimal learning environments, and hybrid learning lessons. Join me as we explore hybrid learning methods that inspire students to win from within.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. Today, we have an awesome and very special treat for everyone. We have an educator that has created a powerful book, not just for teachers, but also for parents to kind of look at learning and education differently. Welcome, Miss Melanie. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great and wonderful.
We are so glad you're joining us today and so excited to delve right into this book. When you decided to put this book together, how long did it take you?
It took me all summer, so it took about 2 or 3 months. From start to finish, it took 6 months.
I've been taking notes as you were doing some of the readings because this is not just educational, functional. This is very practical and down into the weeds of things. So anybody can pick it up and execute it. Who was your target audience when you were thinking of this?
As I was writing this book, my main audience were teachers because of that question: how can I keep my students motivated online? And so I really wanted teachers to have an understanding that the same motivation you use in the classroom, those same exact motivational strategies can be used online as well to keep your students engaged and motivated.
The transition that we're seeing is something that I don't know if we go back to a traditional classroom. It has made such a huge impact and we're having to adjust. How are you seeing the transition in your schools?
I think a lot of schools are adapting to hybrid learning. Of course, we know that we will not return back traditionally as we are seeing, but as we continue to go through this process and as we continue to notice what can we keep, what can we change about education, I feel like now is the perfect time to transform education. Now is the perfect time to help students see their value and exactly what they want to be when they grow up and what they're talented at. I feel like this opportunity is perfect at this time.
You have hit in so many different points. I couldn't take notes fast enough. You know, the principles that you're covering, the different models that you're bringing into it. Favorite phrase ever, brain break. Sign me up for that. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the constant fight or flight syndrome you talked about students? Because when you mentioned it, it clicked, and I was like, we know so many kids there, but we never described it in that specific terms.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
And one of the things when it comes to the fight or flight, Eric Jensen is an educator and an author, and he goes very deep into detail explaining the chronic stress that our students have, and even adults. However, when a new situation presents itself, we are tense. And so, if we're in that fight or flight mode, our brain is not open to learning. And so, one of the teacher's main job at the beginning of the year is to create an atmosphere that is open and calm, where students know, number one, I'm safe. Not only am I safe physically, but emotionally and socially. I know that my teacher is my safety net. I know that she's going to make sure I'm not bullied, that she is going to make sure my thoughts matter. And so, in the fight or flight mode, the main thing for educators is how do I create an environment? And it's also chapter 4 of my book. How do I create that environment where children feel at ease and relaxed to learn. And we can move them out of that fight or flight mode to open them up to learning.
You mentioned that schools and teachers are the anchors of students' lives. And when you said that, I was like, wow, that is such a powerful statement and so true. And I think a lot of the times we take that for granted that we have taken their lives and we have shaken it. How are teachers adjusting to that?
It's been a hard adjustment because face to face interaction, being able to smile. Now we smile with our eyes, but there's nothing more sincere than being able to smile, being able to give a hug, being able to ask, "Are you okay?" Now, the best thing is online, we can also transition to that mode. Sometimes just that greeting, "Good morning, how are you?" And we all know that our students, even if they choose not to speak back to us, everyone wants to know that they are seen and they are valued. So even though the transition is hard, there are small things that we continue to do to let our students know in person and online that we care. We're still here and we're going to support them no matter what.
Those words just gave me chills. I'm getting teary eyed on this side. It is such an important message for a lot of our youth to know that they're seen, that they're heard, and that they matter.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of research out there that says it takes 7 adults to make an impact on a child's life.
yeah,
We take it for granted that one of those adults on a daily basis is going to be a teacher, is going to be an instructor, is going to be a coach. And
yeah,
when they don't have that, you are taking one of the basic foundations away from them. So your book is amazing. And not just for teachers, but for parents to understand the impact of education on their kids
right.
and to be able to see it. Yes, they're at home with you. You're going to be semi tutoring as well, but this is still going to make a difference. How are you seeing parents adjusting to this style?
I think parents are doing a great job. Even at the beginning of COVID, we have been so creative and innovative. And so I think we've taken COVID and we've said, you're not going to win this battle. We've seen creative things, whether it's from shower curtains to be able to hug our loved ones, seen different and creative math, all in all. I think parents are doing a great job. I also think parents are doing a great job when it comes to adjusting to their students. A lot of times we hope that parents will see educators and what they bring to the table, so to speak. And now I think parents have a chance to see I'm having to help one student. Educators have to help a classroom full. And so I think they appreciate that. We definitely, definitely, definitely appreciate our parents for being able to step up and step in. And I think as long as that communication is there, and chapter 4 also mentions this communication that we must have with our parents. And I think everyone's doing a great job communicating with teachers, making sure that our students get the information that they need so that we'll all, as a team, complete the year and be successful every year.
The phrase step up and step in is so accurate. You're no longer allowed just to sit on the sidelines. You literally are engaged every day. I have friends that said, their brothers who are younger are taking classes and like, and I can still hear them. You know what I mean? You're still hearing the conversation going on and you're going, oh wow, I remember when I was there. You are an assistant principal, you have teachers that you support. What kind of support are you giving your teachers? Because they're stressed beyond belief.
They are very much stressed. And one of the things that I believe leaders can do is step back a little bit and allow them to, as much as possible, I believe leaders should take away some of that stress as much as possible. I think the most important thing for our teachers is to know number one, my principal supports me. When I've had a bad day, when things go wrong, when my technology messes up, I know my principal is going to come to me and say, it's okay. And so I think that's the main thing as leaders when we say, how do we support? How do we mentor? Yes, it's always giving advice. And it's a constant, let me help you. Tell me what is wrong. But sometimes it's also taking a step back and just giving them that freedom to say, it's okay to take a risk. I'm forced to do this, but it doesn't own me. I'm still that great teacher.
Powerful. A lot of the things you're seeing is you having teachers who are adjusting to virtual classroom, which can be overwhelmed because you got 50 little screens popping anytime and you're still dealing with 50 little students, but you still have classrooms that are going on in real time. I've met a lot of my peers who are teachers and educators who are just like, oh my God, this is so much more than I ever imagined. But they still get up every day and do it. How do you express to them, you're officially part of this amazing system and you're doing amazing? How often are you recommending principals, assistant principals, that they remind their teachers of this? Because right now, I don't know if they're feeling truly appreciated.
My advice would be the feeling of overwhelming that the administrators are feeling, it's at least double, if not triple that for teachers. And so just acknowledging, I know I'm overwhelmed, I can give them a Coke. I can give them a small happy just to make their day because I know how I feel when someone acknowledges and compliments and gives me a small happy. It's important to often acknowledge them by presenting them. And even if we don't want to go out and spend money, maybe there's educational funding issue, a simple note, a note that says, I appreciate you, goes a long way. Stopping by the classroom, speaking to the teacher, speaking to the student, in person and online, makes a difference. It makes you feel supported and it lets you know that you can keep going.
It is becoming a climate that is not just the student that need the assistant, but also the teachers and the administration.
Yeah,
Everybody's in this together. There is nobody that can say, oh, we're doing, no, no, no. This is everybody as a whole being affected
exactly.
and impacted. You talked about visible role models
Yeah,
when you're talking about students. And I think growing up in a community, there was not that many people that looked like me. There wasn't that many people that sounded like me, that were doing things that I wanted to do.
right.
How are you bringing those visual role models to kids' life in this virtual world that we're living now?
Mostly teachers can do virtual tours. And so it could be a virtual field trip online to get into the background and to figure out and find out about our history and also about live and current events. For example, I had a teacher just yesterday. She was doing her observation, and the theme was on balloons and parades. So she actually did a video clip, an educational video clip on a previous Macy's parade so that students can get involved and they can see it up close. They can feel as if they are there in the moment. And so I recommend just small things like that, a video clip, a virtual field trip, and even coming in and bringing in interviewers, whether you Zoom with them, Google Meet, just to kind of meet with them and give students a chance to meet with them.
There are different options that are making teachers as creative as the students as well, that I think is amazing because you talked about embracing visibles and hidden talents. And
Yeah.
that's something that teachers do every day. How do you recommend them for them to do it on a virtual form?
I think when it comes to the visual talents, it's easy to see and it's easy for students to say that can be me. America's Got Talent, Master Chef, Big Shots. There's a lot of visual talent out there seen. And the best thing about the television shows is that students get to see positive feedback, constructive criticism, and these students get to realize this is me. This can be me. I have talent. I need to search out my talent. And that's where the hidden part also comes in because we're authors. That's a hidden talent. We may feel as if we don't get the recognition as someone who is an athlete, but our students need to know your hidden talents matter also. So if you enjoy reading, if you enjoy writing, those are talents. And so even if you decide, I'm going to be in a club, the beta club, I'm going to be on the debate team, those are still talents that come in handy. Those are talents that allow you to be news anchors. Those are talents that allow you to succeed and be successful. And so that's why I believe it's important to show not only the hidden, but also the visible. And so in the classroom, in person and online, to motivate students, if teachers seek opportunities to allow students to practice the things that they are good at, then all students will be motivated to learn. All students will find their passion. They will find their talent. They will be more creative and innovative, all because they know their teacher cares and their teacher is providing opportunities.
Those are great tips for teachers as well as students to remember. How do we get you to see your full potential so you can find a career? I love the fact that you pointed out, hey, if you're in the debate team, this can help you to be a news anchor. Making those connections, because at times they're going, why am I joining this? How is this ever going to help me?
Right.
Love it. Absolutely fun. So tell us, madam, for teachers, you have tons of resources available. What books would you recommend for them to read, especially for a new teacher when they're getting ready to transition into this world? What would you recommend them?
There are a lot of books that I recommend. Harry One, The First Day of School, very popular. It's been out a long time. It's that tried and true book that you can go to. I would also recommend Eric Jensen, Teaching with Poverty in Mind, Brain Based Teaching. And so he really goes through and he does a great job going in depth with how the brain learns. And he'll go through the stages. My book also goes through the stages based on Maslow's and Peter J. and Bloom's. Eric Jensen will go through the stages based on here are the components of the brain. Here's why we need a calm brain in order to learn. Here's how we make and create a calm environment. I also recommend Simon Sinek, a well known author. The focus of his content is having a growth mindset. How do we help students and also adults have a growth mindset to think outside of the box, so to speak? So, for example, one of the examples I put in my book is a lot of times when I do my presentations, my opening question is to make a list of bugs. So, what type of bugs do you think of when you think of make a list of bugs? And so, of course, our average answers are what?
Cockroach?
Ants and worms. But the real question is, did you think about Bugs Bunny,
No.
about a Volkswagen Beetle? What about Beetlejuice? Number one, it's fun. It's a challenge to think outside the box. Our students love it. And it works to help you open your mind to learning, to have a growth mindset. And so I really recommend Simon Sinek and his books and videos.
We got resources, we got tips. By the way, you got me. I was like, I never thought Bugs Bunny, but that's amazing way of putting it and still practical for them to see it right there. It's real time. I can understand thinking outside the box. I like the connections you're making as an educator and now an author. What tips would you give other educators who decide, I want to write a book? What would you tell them?
Tell them to find something that you are passionate about and you can write for days. Writing this book, I don't want to necessarily say it was easy. I will say my passion guided me to where I did not get much writer's block because it's everything we see every day. It's all of my goals that I have when I teach. And so we know that passion inspires. We know that we have students and children who don't know their worth yet because they have not seen their strength. Sometimes it's tempting to focus on what they need help in, but every child, every adult has at least one talent, more than one, in fact. And so, because it was my passion, and if everything I think about when I think about teaching and learning and motivating, engaging, being our best self helped me to be able to write. So, I guess my advice would be when you speak with passion, you have nothing to worry about.
Those are incredible words, and I love it. I think any educator who's looking at, I would like to put this into writing because I'm passionate, because this moved me, can truly look at it and say, I understand what this means. So, are you working on something else now that you finished this book? Or are you back immersed in the classroom?
I am back in the classroom, in the office. Everything's going good. Most of the time, I end up jotting down thoughts that come to my mind. And so it is my hope to write my second book when I get free time. So, yes, we're back going full swing.
We are going to switch gears because this has been an incredible conversation. It has been such a powerful, I tell everybody, kids and the seniors touch my heart on a daily basis. So when I meet
Yes,
passionate people, passionate educators who are
yes,
wanting to change this culture and help our kids move, you just have me all excited. So I'm super thrilled. But we're going to switch gears. We're going to jump into what we call our lightning round. Super easy. You gave me this look like, oh God, as an educator, it's like, not a pop quiz. You had that look. I was like, oh, run words to say. So fun, easy. Don't think too much about it. We're just going to have some fun here. You ready?
yes, yes.
All right, let's get started. Gummy bears or Sour Patch?
Gummy bears, definitely.
Ooh. Hot or cold?
Ew, can we do lukewarm?
Never thought about it. Yes, we can. We can do lukewarm. Romantic films or action films?
Definitely romantic.
Aw, that is awesome. Breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast. Anytime, anywhere.
Nice. So here's our last one. I'm going to give you something to think about it for a little bit. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Wow. Eye of the tiger.
That is an awesome one. I love it. Nice. Tell our listeners where can they get this book? Also, for any educators that might want to get in touch with you, where can they find you? Where they can get some of your resources? Pretty much for some of your wisdoms as well. Where can we get a hold of you?
My book is available on Amazon. If you'll type in the full name Hybrid Learning Environments by Melanie Wells, it is on sale for $12.99, and my audiobook is on sale for $2.99. So definitely check it out. I think you'll find it very rich with resources, charts, lesson plans to get you started, to let you see how exactly you can incorporate these strategies into your classroom to motivate students online and in person. I can be reached a number of ways. The first one is my website, wellsconnectingdots.org, no spaces in between. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter if you will search Melanie Wells. You can also send me an email at wellsmelanie47, no spaces, all lowercase, at gmail.com. So I definitely love to hear from you, love your thoughts. So definitely check my book out and let me know what you think.
Madam, this is so much information. There is so much resource. We could sit here and delve into this for hours. So I think our listeners, especially our educators, as well as our parents, if they have any questions, they can definitely have a rich book resources and get a hold of you. Do you have any closing comments for us?
I guess I would like to close with what I said earlier. Your passion inspires. And our children need to know that they are worthy. They need to know where and what their talents are. We hear all the time our children are the future. Now is the time. They are the future. Now is the time. Now is the time to transform education. Now is the time to say our children are leaders. Thank you.
Every message powerful. Every sentence for our parents to get them motivated and inspired, and we inspire by leading with our own lives, and people should be able to grasp that and run with it. So, to our listeners, I hope you had as much fun as I did. Go ahead, give this podcast a like, give us a review, share with somebody, invite somebody to join our community. And to Miss Melanie, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, we'll be back next week with a brand new episode and another passionate writer. And thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.